In number 21, we're asked to write the equation of a line that is parallel to a given line. Now, in order to have lines parallel, we need the same slope. So I did a little work over here on the side. I took this equation, and the first thing I did was divided both sides. Moved the x by subtracting x from both sides. And notice I skipped a step here. I could have subtracted the x and then rearranged it, but we've done this many times. So I just subtract x from both sides, and I get negative 1x plus 8. Remember there's a 1 here that's hiding. And then when you divide by negative 4, that gives us a slope of negative 1 over negative 4. That tells us that we have a slope of 1/4. And in order to have a line that's parallel, we need that equation to have a slope of 1/4 also. And then I just chose an intercept of 12 because I want an intercept different than the intercept from this line. And 12 is not the y-intercept of this line. If we wanted to find the y-intercept here, we could let x equal 0, and then y would be negative 2. Now, in number 22, it says determine the slope of any line that is perpendicular. Since this line has a slope of 3/4, a perpendicular would have a slope of negative 4/3. In number 23, you can see I have it written out here already. I did the same thing here. I subtracted 2x from both sides. Then I divided by 5. And now the y is by itself. So I know my slope is negative 2/5. Now, if it's perpendicular, then it has to be the opposite reciprocal. And that's what I wrote here as 5/2. And I chose to use point-slope form because I was given a point and I know the slope. So y minus 3 and x minus a negative 8 gives me x plus 8. Now 24, we've got a line that is perpendicular to the x-axis. Now here's the x-axis. Here's the y-axis, and the x-axis, you notice, is a horizontal line. But we want one that is perpendicular. So if it's perpendicular to horizontal, it must be vertical. And vertical lines are of the form x equals 4. It has to go through this point, 4, negative 1, and it's a vertical line. Now if it was a horizontal line, then it would be y equals, and in this case it'd be negative 1. Now for number 25, I did two things. I graphed lines that went through negative 3, 5, and 0, 0, and then 3, 5, and 0, 0. And if you notice, this has a slope of negative 5/3, and this has a slope of 5/3. Now, these lines are neither parallel nor perpendicular because even though they are opposites, they are not opposite reciprocals. And they are also not the same. If they were both 5/3, then they would be parallel. So in this case, they are neither. They're not the same. That means they're not parallel. And they're also not opposite reciprocals. They are not opposite reciprocals. And so that we know that they are not parallel. They are also not perpendicular because they are not opposite reciprocals.